came into widespread use with the Roman legions from 107 to 30 BC. Each century or company of 100 men had 4 NCOs to assist the centurion. The term sergeant is derived from the Latin word serviens, meaning to serve. The French first used the term sergeant, who was the first servant to a knight. The sergeant would train the other servants or serfs, lead them into battle, keep good order, and prevent them from running away. The American Revolution, 1775 to 17. During the summer of 1775, General Washington had decided, during the War for American Independence, the formation of 2 battalions of on the same day that Samuel Nichols was appointed Captain of Marines. In the early days of the American Revolution, little standardization of NCO duties and responsibilities existed. America's first Inspector General, Baron von Steuben, strongly influenced the shaping of the NCO Corps when he instituted the Regulations for Order and Discipline of von Steuben. Also emphasized the importance of selecting quality enlisted men for NCO positions. He stated that, since these words ring as true today as they did in 1778, it being the non-commissioned officers that the discipline and order of a company in a great measure depend, they can. In September 1783, Marine Lieutenant Thomas Elwood was the last Continental Re-establishing the Marine Corps, 1790. In preparation for the impending war with France, Congress would send to the Commandant of Marines, Major William Ward Burroughs, began outfitting the new Marines through. Within 6 months of establishing the Marine Corps, Commandant Burroughs began exercising his authority. Although the idea of military specialties is fairly recent, it was Burroughs' success. Although these enlisted grades dated back to the re-establishment of the Marine Corps in 1790, the war with Mexico was America's first war on foreign soil. The Civil War era, 18. Since there were no available troops in the area of Harper's Ferry, early in the war there was a lack of experienced Marine NCOs in office. After the Battle of Bull Run, Congress authorized an increase in. These are some of the significant battles Marines would participate in during the Civil War. Although the naval campaigns of the Civil War are not as famous as the Army campaigns, the Spanish-American War to World War I. As the Marine Corps was struggling to justify its traditional roles in the wake of the Navy fleet's modernization, Congress tasked Marines with the mission of providing forces that could occupy and defend advanced naval bases for the purpose of resupplying naval forces. During the Spanish-American War, Congress enacted a wartime measure establishing The turn of the century was busy for the Marine Corps, as Marines saw action in the Philippines and China, where their reputation as a land fighting force was galvanized by the actions of individual Marines, such as Gunnery Sergeant John Quick, Private Dan Daly, and Lieutenant Smedley Butler. Between the Great Wars, 1923 to World War I emphasized the need for military technicians. Additional pay was adopted in 1908. However, the practice of rewarding those who World War II, 1941 to 1940. The years leading up to the Second World War saw Marines successfully defending the U.S. postal. While war in Europe erupted in 1939, the United States declared neutral. At 07:55, the stillness of a Sunday morning was broken by the scream. It was the monumental individual efforts of non-commissioned officers such as these that ensured U.S. victory over an experienced and determined enemy from Midway to Okinawa. The Naval Appropriations Act of 1920 limited the 24 years after the women were mustered out at the conclusion. 165 years after John Martin, Isaac Walker, the first black recruits to arrive had special skills that were utilized to help run the. As the war was fought island to island, the Japanese. The Korean conflict, 1940. During the war, the need for specialists created a mushroom effect on the enlisted rank. There were three major changes to the enlisted rank structure during the Korean War era that led close. On 25 June 1950, 8 divisions of the North Korean People's Army crossed the 38th parallel. From Seoul, the Marines moved north as the weather turned bitter cold. When the Korean War broke out, less than 10% of the Marine Corps had seen combat. When MAG-33 deployed as part of the 1st Provisional Marine Brigade, it consisted of 3 Corsair F-4U fighter squadrons, 2 day squadrons and 1 night squadron, and a Sentinel OY observation squadron with a historic component of 4 Sikorsky HO-3S-1 helicopters. Throughout much of the Korean War and the decade that followed, the trace of black Marines is extremely hard to follow as there was no indicator of race on record. The continual flow of replacements coming into Korea soon brought some of the senior Vietnam, 1957 to 19... In 1958, compression at the top led to rank imbalance and confusion. In this revision of 1958, the ranks of corporal through master sergeant were upgraded one pay grade. It was a logical step from the early traditions of the Marine Corps to appoint a senior. As a result of the Geneva Accords of 1954, French political and military. As the director of Women Marines, Colonel Margaret M. Henderson established the billet of. Much like today's insurgent operations, the famous hearts and minds of the Vietnamese. In the history of the Marine Corps, there are Marines who exceed the boundaries of rank with. Young Marines choose their mentors from those who have demonstrated themselves by personal. Crisis Intervention, 1976 to 2000. After the Vietnam War ended, the Marine Corps once again found itself as an expeditionary force in readiness, responding to crises around the world. War on Terror, 2001 to 2011. The excitement of the new millennium was soon shattered by a terrorist attack on the United States. The surprise attack on September 11, 2001 would catapult the world into the War on Terror, and once again, the United States Marine Corps was there to respond. The non-commissioned officer will continue to be the key foundation. From the very beginning of organized militaries, non-commissioned officers, you have completed this lesson. Select the Close button, then use the Course menu to navigate to the next.